Back to online class. So in this session, we will discuss some of the previous year Neet questions on human health and disease. Right. So we have provided materials. So go to page number 67. Exercise 3, page number 67. Question number 1. Question number 1. Match the following sexually transmitted diseases. Column 1 with their causative agents, column 2, and select the correct option. Select the correct option 2017. Here column 1 gonorrhea has given gonorrhea, right? That is A gonorrhea, B syphilis. These are sexually transmitted diseases. C genital warts, and D acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Here in the column 2 as given their causative organism. First one is HIV. Second one has given Neisseria gonorrhea. Actually, full name Neisseria gonorrhea. Treponema palladium. The full name human papilloma virus. Human papilloma virus. No, important, right? All these are sexually transmitted diseases. We know that gonorrhea is a sexual transmitted disease caused by Neisseria gonorrhea, right? The full name is Neisseria gonorrhea. So this is 100. A option. A 2. Neisseria. No, syphilis, which is caused by sexual transmission, is caused by Treponema palladium. Treponema palladium. Andre here B ge third one also. Other syphilis, Treponema palladium. But genital warts, which is caused by human papilloma virus, HPV and the human papilloma virus that causes genital warts. Where acquired immunodeficiency syndrome is caused by human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. That's why A2, D3, BC4, D1. This is option 1. So option 1 is the right answer. Right? This satisfies option 1. So option 1 is the right answer. No, the number of sexual transmitted diseases are there. Genital wart, genital herpes simplex virus, right? So all these are the sexually transmitted diseases. They are transferred. It's also called reproductive tract infection, venereal diseases. Next one, MARD constitutes about dash percent for the lymphoid tissue in humans. You know that lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs, secondary lymphoid organs, we are studied, right? Bone marrow, thymus, the primary lymphoid organs, where there is a presence of tonsils, vermiform, appendix, spleen. These are secondary lymphoid organs. Along with that, there is a presence of MAD, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. This constitute about 50% of the lymphoid tissue. Now here mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, shekada 50% ಅಷ್ಟು ಇರುತ್ತೆ tissue ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿಲಿ. Remember, 50% lymphoid organs work ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So MAD is 50%. Remember, 50% ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Right, lymphoid organs chapter lymphoid concept in NCERT book ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So last paragraph ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲ, that is going to MAD constitute about 50% of the lymphoid organs and the tissues of the human body, right? That's why 50% is the right answer. Option 1 is the right answer. Next question. Transplantation of tissues or organs fails often due to non-acceptance by the patient's body. Which type of immune response is responsible for such rejection? So transplantation or graft rejection. Graft rejection. Organ transplantation right? You know, so there is a special type of cells what we call as T cells. T cells or T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes. These play an important role during so organ transplantation or tissue transplantation. So that these T cells they can provide cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity. That means directly T cells. There are 4 different types of T cells are there. There are cytotoxic T cells, there are memory T cells, helper T cells, amino cells, all those kinds, these killer cells, so that these T cells, especially cytotoxic killer cells, so these play an important role. They can involve in the rejection of the organ of other organ of the donor to the patient body, right? Because they produce, they can assume that this is a foreign particle, it's a foreign organ. It is not an indigenous organ for the patient. That's why this will be rejected due to the immune response is by cell-mediated immune response, cell-mediated immunity by the T lymphocytes. So that T lymphocytes play an important role during organ transplantation or graft transplantation. Graft or another. Rejection or kill so cell immunity is strong. So B cells that produces antibodies, right? Antibodies. Right? So that during the organ transplantation, the patient is provided with the immunosuppressor agents. Before transplantation, the patient injected with immunosuppressor agents like cyclosporin A. Cyclosporin A immunosuppressor agent very important to remember. Microbes in human welfare chapter ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ cyclosporin is a bioactive molecule act as immunosuppressor agent. Statins they are blood cholesterol lowering agent. Streptokinase clot buster. Right? You have to remember cyclosporin is act as immunosuppressor agent. So transplantation ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈ cyclosporin ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ immune response suppress ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ cell immunity that is responsible during rejection of the graft. That's why autoimmune response, cell-mediated immune response. So the second one is the right answer. Second one is the right answer. Next question. Which of the following statement is correct? Which of the following statement is correct? Which of the following statement is correct here? The statements are acquired immunity is pathogenic specific. Of course, it is a specific immunity. Where is the development of immunity or a response, immune response against a specific pathogen. Right? A specific immunity is for specific pathogen. That is acquired immunity. Acquired immunity. Whenever there is an infection occurs by the pathogen, then for that specific pathogen, our immune system will be triggered. That is acquired immunity. Acquired. Next. The exaggerated response of immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called autoimmunity. That is wrong. This is not right. So that is not the correct statement. Why? Because the exaggerated immune response to the certain kinds of environmental antigen it is called allergy. It is called allergy. Allergy is exaggerated. Right? It is the exaggerated immune response. Against what? Against some of the antigens. For all antigens, for example, you can take dust, pollen grain, animal dander. For these are environmental antigens. For this antigens, there is sudden or exaggerated immune response. Right? So that is called allergy. And the substance which cause allergy, what we call as allergens. Allergens due to secretion of histamine and serotonin from the mast cells, where the allergic reaction occurs. IgE is the antibody that is produced due to the allergic reaction, right? So this is the wrong statement. Not autoimmunity, it is allergy. Bone marrow acts as a filter of the blood by the trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Bone marrow acts as a filter of the blood by trapping the blood-borne microorganisms. That is not a specific statement. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome (AIDS) is caused by a group of virus called rhinovirus. That is wrong. So acquired immunodeficiency syndrome is caused by virus, human immunodeficiency virus. Rhinovirus, that is rhinovirus, which cause common cold, right? Which cause common cold. So viral disease, common cold, right? So retrovirus, not rhinovirus, retrovirus, that is HIV. That's why option 1 is the correct statement. Next, an example for flagellated protozoan. Pseudophodia. These protozoans, they are pseudopodial protozoans, ciliated protozoans, flagellated protozoans, and sporozoans. Then now 4 ಭಾಗ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. So ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ PUC ಬಯೋಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಟಿಸ್ಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Protozoans class is further divided into 4 classes. Right? Pseudophodia, that means amoeboid protozoans ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Right? That's why where example for flagellated protozoans trypanosoma causing sleeping sickness. That's why trypanosoma brucei, trypanosoma gambians. So here trypanosoma is an example of flagellated. Paramecium, ciliated protozoan. Entamoeba, amoeboid protozoans, right? Consists of pseudophodia, false food, pseudophodia, right? Plasmodium is an example for sporozoans, Plasmodium vivax cause malaria disease. That's why second one is the right answer. Next, which techniques helps to identify a bacterial or viral pathogen in the human body even when its concentration is very low and the clinical symptoms are not yet visible? Now test. So now bacteria and viral disease identify ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ human body ಯಾವಾಗ ಅದು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಗುಣಲಕ್ಷಣ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ, ರೋಗದ ಗುಣಲಕ್ಷಣ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಆವಾಗ ಯಾವ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ immunosorbent assay ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. This is diagnostic test to detect HIV or virus. Total leukocyte count, that is wrong. Differential leukocyte count, that is wrong. ECR this is correct. What do you mean by PCR? PCR is polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction. It is also called thermocycler. Machine is called thermocycler. Variables. Next, where polymerase chain reaction is what? It is a process of making multiple copies of DNA, right? So it is making multiple copies of DNA, or that means what? That is production of number of copies by using chemically synthesized RNA nucleotides, what we call as primers. 2 sets of primers. DNA polymerase, using DNA polymerase. Here DNA polymerase is Taq polymerase enzyme. Taq polymerase means what? Taq means T means thermus, AQ means aquaticus. Thermus aquaticus. It is a DNA polymerase enzyme, right? So thermus aquatic stack polymerase is what? It is a DNA polymerase enzyme which is isolated isolated from the thermophilic organism bacteria, what we call as thermus aquaticus. The thermus aquaticus ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂತ ಸೊ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾದಿಂದ ಐಸೋಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಗೆ ನಾವು ಡಿಎನ್ಎ ಪಾಲಿಮರೇಸ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಮರೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಆ ಪಾಲಿಮರೇಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೈಮರ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯೋಟೈಡ್ಸ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸೊ ಆಂಪ್ಲಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಎನ್ಎ ಆಂಪ್ಲಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಏನು ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಕಾಪೀಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಡಿಎನ್ಎ, ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎರರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಹೌದಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ನಂಬರ್, ಈ ಡಿಎನ್ಎ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಪಾಲಿಮರೇಸ್ ಚೈನ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಇಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ thermocycle ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ there is a temperature variation occurs where it includes denaturation. That means double stranded DNA will be making into the single stranded DNA by increasing the temperature up to 92 degrees Celsius temperature for 1 minute or 50 seconds, right? That means second step is annealing of primers, adding of the primers on opposite end. For example, this is 5 prime, this is 3 prime, this is 5 prime, here is 3 prime, right? So here there is addition, annealing of the primers. Why? Because this is 5 prime, 3 prime, this is 5 prime, 3 prime. Always the addition or nucleotides, DNA nucleotides or replication begins from 5 prime to 3 prime. That's why on opposite side there is an annealing of the primers. Particular primers are the chemically synthesized organic nucleotides which are involved in the replication process, right? So organic primers, right? After that extension of the primers, that means addition of DNA nucleotides, deoxyribonucleotides. Here there is a formation of the new strand. It contains up to 30 cycles. There is a billions to billions of the copies that will be obtained. So that in a small quantity, though it is a very small quantity, where the bacteria as well as the viral pathogen easily detected in a small concentration, then low clinical symptoms will be detected by polymerase chain reaction is a molecular diagnostic test to obtaining or amplification of number of DNA copies, right? That's why PCR is the right answer. Next question. Which of the following statement is not true for cancer cells in relation to mutation? Mutation ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಹಾಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಗೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವುದು ಟ್ರೂ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ inhibit the production of telomerase enzyme ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Mutation inhibits the production of telomerase enzyme. That is not true for cancer cells in relation to mutation. No, telomere is the end of the chromosomal part, that is R. This is the telomere part where it consists of a made up of repetitive sequence. Telomere where telomerase enzyme, very important over here, telomerase enzyme. If the mutation occurs, then what happens if the mutation occurs? Cancerous cells, where you know that due to uncontrolled cell division, cancerous cells, they specifically their cell cycle is not controlled under control, right? That's why there is uncontrolled cell division occurs in the cancerous cells. Where here that leads to what happens? Shortening of chromosome. During replication process, if what happens if the telomerase enzyme That main involved in the lengthening, right? So it maintains the length of the chromosome and arm, so that if the mutation and what happens, then the shortening occurs. That's why this is not the correct sentence. Sorry. So what do you mean telomerase here? It is made up of ribonucleoprotein, right? Telomerase is a ribonucleoprotein. So it is do not inhibit the telomerase enzyme activity. Next, mutation in proto-oncogenes activate cell cycle. That is correct. What happens here? Proto-oncogenes mutation are they are coming into oncogenic cancer-causing genes. So that what happens? Cell division will be uncontrolled. Cell cycle will be uncontrolled. That means what happens? So number of cells, they are mass of cells to form a tumor. Proto-oncogene, cellular proto-oncogene mutation ಆದರೆ ಅವೇನಾಗ್ತವೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಕಾಸಿಂಗ್ ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಂಟು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಅನ್ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ರೈಟ್, ಇಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. Mutation destroys the telomerase inhibitor. Mutation destroys the telomerase inhibitor. Telomerase inhibitor ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? Destroy ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Automatically ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Uncontrolled, right? So chromosomal structure replication continues and automatically what happens? There is uncontrolled cell division occurs. That is correct. Mutation destroys telomerase inhibitor. Mutation inactivates the cell control. Cell control. So normal cells, they have contact inhibition. What do you mean contact inhibition? It is the property of normal cell. Remember, contact inhibition is the property of normal cell. But cancer cells, they do not show contact inhibition. No contact inhibition. Where one cell comes in contact with another cell after cell division, where cell division will be regulated. It is regulated and controlled mechanism, cell division. So that one cell comes in contact here. This is cell division will be controlled. This control this cell division, here is same like this. But because of lack of contact inhibition with the cancerous cells, there is an uncontrolled cell division. Cell division leads to formation of tumors, mass of cells. That's why mutation ಆದರೆ inactive cell control inactive ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. They become converted into cancerous cells. That's why the first statement, mutation inhibits the production of telomerase, is not where it destroys the telomerase inhibitor. That's why first sentence is not true. Next, anti-venom injection. Anti-venom injection contain performed antibodies. Of course, they are performed antibodies or ready-made antibodies. Ready-made antibodies against an antigen, for example, snake bite. Right? While polio drops that are administered into the body contains. So anti-venom naವೇನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, anti-venom antibodies ಇರುತ್ತೆ. venom it is a performed passive immunity ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. performed antibodies. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? antibodies. What about the polio drops? Polio drops, what is this polio drops? Polio drops, it is the attenuated pathogen. Polio drops, it is the attenuated pathogen. What do you mean by attenuated pathogen? Where the pathogen lost its capacity to cause a disease. That means pathogenicity is destroyed. Only living antigenicity, living antigenicity. That's why it is called attenuated ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ disease cause ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ capacity ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ. But antigenicity, what is the antigenicity here? Once this antigen enters into the body, it triggers our immune system to produce specific antibodies, specific immune system against that antigen. Antigenicity, right? Antigenicity, the property of antigen, right? So attenuated pathogen. Option 1 is the right answer. Next. In higher vertebrates, the immune system can distinguish. Self cells and non-self. Self cells and non-self. If this property is lost due to genetic abnormality and it attacks self cells, then it leads to what happens. Sometimes what happens, once our immune system that can destroy the antigen, it continuous production of our immune system in the body, what happens, due to genetic reasons or any other reasons, some unknown reasons, our own immune cells that can attack our own cells, our own immune system attacks our own cells. That's why it is called cell cells. ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರತಿರೋಧಕ ಶಕ್ತಿನೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಲ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. The targets our own cells. That means destruction of our own cells. This is called autoimmunity. Remember, this is called autoimmunity. That's not correctly autoimmunity or autoimmune response. Autoimmune response. Autoimmunity or autoimmune response ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕರೀತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, right? So that's why autoimmune response, active immunity, allergic response, graft rejection, autoimmune disease, that is autoimmune disease. Autoimmune response. The autoimmune response disease. Autoimmune response or the disease, right? Autoimmune disease is correctly, right? So myasthenia gravis, rheumatoid arthritis, right? Myasthenia gravis, rheumatoid arthritis is an example for autoimmune disease. Remember, rheumatoid arthritis, right? Next. Asthma may be attributed to accumulation of fluids in the lungs, wrong. Bacterial infection of the lungs, wrong. Allergic reaction of the mast cells in the lungs, that is correct. Allergic reaction of the mast cells, secretion of serotonin in the stomach by the mast cells in the lungs. Here asthma is caused. Inflammation of the trachea, right? That's why option 3 is the direct question, that 3 is the right answer. Next, 12th question. Which of the following virus is not transferred through semen of an infected male? Repeat the question, right? So now reproductive health chapter study right? Ebola virus, hepatitis B virus, immunodeficiency virus, chikungunya virus is not transmitted through semen, right, of an infected male. Next, the active form of Entamoeba histolytica feeds upon the activity erythrocytes, mucosa and submucosa colony. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? So ಯಾವ active form ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು? Erythrocytes. Blood ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ erythrocytes, mucosa, submucosa and colon. The second option ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. Second one is the blood only, mucosa, submucosa, colon only, protein ingestion only. That is erythrocytes, mucosa and submucosa of colon, right? Intestine, right? That's why second one is the right answer. Next, which of the following is not a sexually transmitted disease? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ ಒನ್ ಕೇಳಿದಾನೆ, 3 sexual transmitted diseases ಇದಾವೆ, ಒಂದು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾನೆ. Encephalitis, this is not a sexual transmitted disease, right? Syphilis, right? So caused by treponema. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome caused by human immunodeficiency virus. Trichomoniasis caused by Trichomonas vaginalis, right? That's why all the 3 they are sexually transmitted diseases. Encephalitis is not a sexually transmitted disease. That's why option 1 is the right answer. It is not the sexually transmitted disease. Next, match the 16th question. Match each disease with its correct type of vaccines. Tuberculosis, caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So here, tuberculosis ke ನಾವು ಯಾವ vaccine ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ? It is harmless vaccine, right? So pathogenicity killed bacteria, that means attenuated in nature. Attenuated pathogen ಅಂದ್ರೆ disease cause ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂತ capacity ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ harmless bacteria ನಾವು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. Whooping cough ಗೆ ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು? killed bacteria ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. killed bacteria. So vaccines ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ. One is attenuated right? Attenuated organism is live but unable to cause disease. So killed pathogens pathogen kill ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು vaccine ತರ act ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Perform here another one is toxoid. A toxin ನಾವು so vaccine ತರ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, right? So either whole live organism but it is unable to cause disease. There is a killed organism, but there is a toxin is inactivated toxin ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ vaccine ತರ act ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. So whooping cough now we are providing killed vaccine bacteria. Diphtheria, right? Corynebacterium diphtheria, which gives inactivate toxin, right? It is produces a toxin called diphtherin toxin. So this toxin is inactivated and they are used as a vaccine. So polio is a harmless virus. Remember, polio is a harmless virus. Harmless virus is attenuated virus. As given, the pathogenicity is nil, antigenicity is right. That's why A4, B3, C2, D1. This is option 4 ಇದೆ. Option 4 is the right answer. Next, HIV, human immunodeficiency virus that causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. First start destroying HIV first targets the T cells, helper T cells, TH cells. The first targets TH cells, T helper cells na target ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು? Human immunodeficiency virus. First, once it come in contact with the body, targets on helper T cells. Where helper T cells, they are play an important role that can help the T lymphocytes to produce antibodies. So macrophages and helper T cells, they are destroyed by the human deficiency virus. Automatically, there is a gradual reduction in the immunity. There is a deficiency in the immunity. That's why it is called immunodeficiency virus. In case of human beings, that's why it is human immunodeficiency virus, right? That's why first HIV entry ಆದಮೇಲೆ target ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾವುದು? helper T cells ನ target ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So helper T cells are T lymphocytes. Option 4 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ, thrombocytes, B lymphocytes ಮತ್ತೆ helper T cells ಇದೆ. So helper T cells is the next. Which of the following immunoglobulin? Immunoglobulin does constitute the largest percentage in the milk? The colostrum, the milk which is produced for the first few days after parturition is called colostrum, which is yellow in color, which predominantly contains the immunoglobulin A. Majorly it contains immunoglobulin A that provides passive immunity to child, right, through the mother during sucking, right? That's why IgA. So the IgG immunoglobulin G that cross the placenta. IgM is the first antibody produced during infection. That's why IgA is the right answer. Next, grafted kidney may rejected in patient due to grafted kidney transplantation ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, right? So ಅಂಗಾಂಗವನ್ನು ಕಸಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? ಅದು ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಗ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಗ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, you know that where graft acceptance and rejection is based on the immune system, that is cell mediated immunity. This cell mediated immunity is by the T cells or T lymphocytes. Remember, T cells or T lymphocytes. That's why innate immunity, human immune response, cell-mediated immune response, passive immunity. That's why cell-mediated immunity by the T cells. T cells play an important role during organ transplantation, graft transplantation, acceptance or rejections. Right? Next, which is the particular type of drug that is obtained from the plant whose one flowering branch shows here? Diagram ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಯಾವುದು? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಜನರಲಿ Datura stomanium, right? Datura stomanium, Datura plant. So that is produces a drug, hallucinogen. Hallucinogen that causes hallucinogenic property. Hallucinogenic property, excess use of cocaine that causes hallucinogen, and other two plants that cause hallucinogenic or hallucinogenic properties, Datura and Atropa belladonna. Atropa belladonna. Atropa belladonna and Datura, they are hallucinogenic property, hallucination property. That's why first one is the right answer. Next question. At which stage of human immunovirus infection does one usually show symptoms of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS? At which stage of the HIV infection? ಯಾವ stage ಅಲ್ಲಿ HIV infection ಇಂದ symptoms appear ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ question ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, which stage? Within 15 days of sexual contact with infected person. That is wrong. The acquired immunodeficiency syndrome shows symptoms very it takes time, it takes too much of time, very long time that it takes to appear symptoms. HIV symptoms, AIDS symptoms ಬಹಳ ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿ ಅಪಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. It takes years, right? That's why first one is not possible. When the infected retrovirus enters into the host cell entry after remember, right? First ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ host cell entry ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? First, once they are retrovirus come in contact with the host cell, that is macrophage or T helper cells, where it transfers its RNA molecule, because in the RNA virus, RNA is converted into DNA by the reverse transcription process catalyzed by reverse transcriptase enzyme. That's why HIV damages large number of helper T lymphocytes. Then there is a appearance of, or then there is a showing of the symptoms. Where large number of the T lymphocytes, especially T helper cells, they are damaged. That leads to what happens? That leads to immunodeficiency. So that leads to appearance of symptoms. It takes too much of time, right, for the appearance of symptoms. In case of the individual who is suffering from acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, when a viral DNA is produced by reverse transcriptase, that is wrong. That's why option 3 is the right answer. Next, infection of Ascaris usually occurs by, remember, Ascaris, it causes the disease Ascariasis, right? So that it is caused to drinking of water, this which water? Contaminated water. Contaminated water means it contains what? Eggs of Ascaris. So that leads to Ascariasis disease, where Ascariasis disease caused by Ascaris, for example, Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides is a causative organism for Ascariasis disease. Next, which one of the following statement is correct regarding sexually transmitted disease? ಯಾವ statement? A person may contract syphilis by sharing milk with one already suffering from the disease. That is wrong. Hemophilia is one of the sexually transmitted disease. This is wrong. Hemophilia it is. So sexual incontinence, of course, it is a Mendelian disorder. Mendelian disorder. Remember, if the gene, the cause for hemophilia present on X chromosome, that is a transfer. Remember, the gene disorder. Genital herpes and sickle cell anemia are both STDs. That is wrong. Genital herpes, it is a sexually transmitted disease caused by herpes simplex virus. Herpes simplex virus, HSV and the continuum. But sickle cell anemia is not a genetic disorder. Sorry, sexually transmitted disorder. It is a gene disorder. The gene which cause for the sickle cell anemia present on chromosome number 11. It is a Mendelian disorder or genetic disorders, gene disorder, not sexual transmitted disease. The chances of a 5-year boy containing a sexually transmitted disease is very little. This statement is correct, where the chances of a 5-year boy. Why? Because the sexually transmitted diseases, they occur through the sexual contact. Sexual contact means where in the sexual maturity, whenever the individual attains sexual maturity, then only the chances of transmission of disease. 5-year boy, it is under puberty, right? Under puberty. That's why that's why under puberty the chances of the transmission of these diseases is very rare cases. That's why. So option 4 is the right answer. Next, identify the site where Wuchereria bancrofti, which cause Wuchereria bancrofti, normally found in human body. Wuchereria is Wuchereria pathogen. So this Wuchereria bancrofti, filariasis or elephantiasis disease, where usually it affects the lymphatic vessels of lower limbs. Remember, that leads to abnormal swelling of lower limbs, growing part and scrotal part in case of the individuals. That's why where the limbs they are, it looks like limbs of elephant or legs of elephant. That's what is called elephantiasis. That's why option 4, lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs, the right answer. Next, which of the following is a hallucinogenic drug? Lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide is an example. It is an hallucinogenic drug. Next, motile zygote of plasmodium occurs, gut of the female anopheles. That is correct. Why? Because the sexual reproduction, when the fusion of male and female gametes of plasmodium takes place in the mosquito, right? In the gut of the mosquito, where the fertilization occurs, formation of zygote. These are transferred. These are occurs in the gut region of the female anopheles mosquito, where the malaria disease caused by female anopheles mosquito is a vector, where which is causative organism is plasmodium. So where it completes its life cycle by using 2 host organisms. That's why it is called a digenetic in nature, where the organism needs 2 host organisms. One is man and the mosquito. That's why it is a digenetic pathogen. The pathogen which needs 2 host organisms for the completion of its life cycle, it is called digenetic pathogen. That's why gut of the female. Salivary glands of anopheles sporozoids, they are present in the salivary gland. Human RBC is just a parasite. increases their number. Right? Human liver cells also where these sporozoites they infect the liver cells and asexual reproduction occurs that leads to increase the number of the parasites. White test is carried out to the test. ಯಾವುದು white test ಯಾವುದು carry ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ to detect the typhoid. Right? Typhoid fever is detected by white test. Right? So that so here it is a molecular diagnostic test where this typhoid which is caused by salmonella typhi detected by the test, right? A serological test that is a Widal test. That is the Widal test, right? Next, common cold differs from pneumonia in that. Pneumonia but the common cold is different. Pneumonia is a communicable disease, whereas common cold is a nutritional deficiency disease. Common cold is not a nutritional deficiency disease. Pneumonia can be prevented by live attenuated bacterial vaccine, whereas common cold has no effective vaccine. It is also wrong. Where pneumonia is caused by virus, while the common cold is caused by bacterium. That is wrong because caused by also virus, rhinovirus. Pneumonia is a pathogen infect the alveoli, right? Whereas common cold affect the nose respiratory passage but not the lungs. That is the correct statement with respect to the cold, which is different from the pneumonia, right? That is option 4 is the right answer. Next, which one of the following is not a property of cancerous cells, whereas remaining 3 are correct? Nodi, they compete with normal cells for vital nutrients. That is correct. They cancerous cells that compete with the nutrients with that of the normal cells, right? For the nutrition. That means they grab more nutrition compared to normal cells. They do not remain confined in the area of the formation. That is correct, right? Because in case of some of the tumors, what we call as malignant tumors, these malignant tumors where some of the cells of these tumors, cancer cells, are part detached from the tumor and they are travel or flow through the blood and where they are lodged and they are involved in the formation of a new tumor. That's why they are not generally confined to a particular area, and some of the tumors are there what we call as benign tumors. They are confined to a particular area, they are localized in nature, right? So they divided into uncontrolled manner. That is correct. Where cancerous cells they lack the property of contact inhibition, where uncontrolled cell division, right? You know, it is also having metastasis property. So the third in sentence put in Allah statement that is metastasis property, whereas it shows contact inhibition of the kodidane. That is wrong. Where cancer cells do not shows contact inhibition. Where cancer cells lacks contact inhibition, where because of the absence of contact inhibition there is uncontrolled cell division occurs. The lack of property of contact inhibition, where normal cells they have contact inhibition, where cell division stops, where the cells are come in contact like this, where due to lack of contact inhibition there is uncontrolled cell division occurs that leads to formation of mass of cells. That is called tumor in case of cancer condition, right? That's right. So fourth one is this is not the correct property with respect to cancer cells. So these are all the questions of previous year Neet, right? So you get 2018, 19, 20. So question papers will be asked. You can go through that. In the next class we will discuss with another chapter, right? Thank you.